There we go. And we are hi, Shawn.
Hey, what's going on? Everybody in the chat, hello.
Everybody in the chat that's on the chat now. Everyone that is in the room, hello. How is it going? So, that was a thunk. I was like, what was that? You're fine. You're fine. So you're part of the new reality, but then you do the Mountain Man Medium stuff. I've seen your videos. His videos are fantastic, by the way. You should go watch them and subscribe to his channel. So how long, tell us a little bit about your background as Mountain Man Medium.
Well, I think as I was growing up, I always felt like I was a different person. I always felt like I would finish people's questions. Somebody would talk, or I would always feel like I could finish their sentence before they would say it. So I was always finding myself not really hanging out with a lot of different people because I don't think they really understood me.
Right.
So through my life, we'll make it brief as far as I grew up. I had a couple situations where I think some trauma. I think everybody has the ability to be a medium, but I think there's times where people have some traumas that happen, which trigger things that cause you to be more aware of things. I had something happen, and I won't go into the details of it, but it was a relationship that ended, and it ended in a bad way. But then I found myself surrendering, and I found myself dropping to my knees and asking for help, basically. And at that point, I felt something physical put its arms around me, this energy, and I was like, what's this? And then instantly had this knowing that what I was in was not what I was supposed to do.
Right.
So it eased my mind for that moment. Of course, you go through a trauma like that, it takes some time to get through it and understand the trauma. But then all of a sudden, these people, these main characters would come in and they would help me understand a little bit better what my path was. I can think of one really good thing that I understood that led me to understand that I was able to see spirits. I was actually hanging out with some coworkers. We were actually at a bar drinking, and at the end of the night, having a good time. You let go of some of those, those things that you wouldn't normally, you're like holding.
Filters are off, all of that, yeah.
So I'm talking to this coworker, and all of a sudden I noticed that she has this woman next to her. And I'm going to tell you just because I'm like, what is this? What am I seeing here? And I started describing her grandmother that had passed. She got very emotional because she loved this grandmother a lot. And when the grandmother understood that I saw her, I felt her rush me.
Oh, okay.
I got to a point where I was pushing it away. And I don't know what this is. It's crazy. So that was my first experience going, okay, something's going on here. I'm trying to figure out how this is. And so as I'm going through this process, I got into meditation. Meditation opened my mind, and I found that I was able to pick up things, and it was much more clear. And that's when those things became more clear. I started getting into my practice, I think, after I joined the new reality. The new reality, it was as we were doing paranormal, I started understanding a lot better. There were spirits, and I was feeling those things and being able to validate it through equipment and other people's experiences. Then I started deciding, some reason something was telling me I should take some kind of mediumship courses. So I studied underneath James Van Praagh, which is the creator of Ghost Whisperers.
Right.
I took a 40-hour course with him and a woman from what was it? There's a place in Europe. Arthur Finley College. He was an instructor from there. And I took a 40-hour course, and I found at that point, I started opening up. I was like, I'm understanding a lot more.
Like this is starting to make sense.
Yeah. Started embracing it more. Then I did 2 workshops with Lisa Williams. And I think the last workshop I did with her, she looked at me and she goes, you're an amazing medium. You need to own that. And you should start doing more like platform, which is standing on the stage and going, I'm feeling this, and having people come to me. So that gave me it encouraged me to really just embrace what I knew.
Absolutely. So it's like, it just kind of like helped you kind of like come to terms, I guess, like for lack of a better, like come to terms with your abilities of like, because I'm sure like when you start seeing things like that and you don't really have an explanation for these things, that you're like, it can be startling. Yeah. It can be like really shocking. You're like, I'm seeing things that people are going to think I'm freaking crazy. Yeah. Like they're going to think I'm like, schizophrenic, and I'm seeing visions. And then, so a lot of times it's like, it can be very jarring. So I imagine like having that teaching experience and having that tutorial experience and that mentorship really kind of helped like hone that down of like, oh, okay, I'm not crazy.
I think through my whole life, I thought that. I think that's why I kept to myself. I was always more of a loner because I always felt like this is not normal. Like people are going to think I'm crazy and I'm getting these voices. And but then, I think that last time I came home in New York, Lilydale, which is a spiritual mediumship community. I came home and Cody, my sidekick in New Reality, picked me up.
See him later.
Yes, we'll be having a great interview then. I looked at him and I said, bro, I'm gonna own my mediumship here. And he looked at me and goes, let's go do a West Coast trip. And we did that. And me just really deciding I'm gonna follow through with this, and we're gonna understand it, I'm gonna claim it. We had an amazing trip. Both of our experiences really got the New Reality and a big jump start in the New Reality. So.
Yeah. And I think that those abilities kind of like do add something. And we'll get into that, of course, when we interview both of you guys. But I do think that adds something to your paranormal investigation experience, is that when you're open and intuitive like that, of course, things might want to talk to you a little bit more because they might feel a little bit more comfortable with you.
Yeah, I think if you do follow the New Reality, you guys we'll go into that with when we're on the stage together. But I do think that those abilities, it gives a light off that lets the spirits know that you can communicate with them, and it gives them more of a reason to go, hey, these guys understand us, and they're not a threat. I think that's why we get so much evidence.
I agree with that. So at this time, if anyone has any questions for Shawn, there's a question right there.
When you see spirits, what is it like for you? Like you physically see them, or is it an image in your head, or what do they look like?
So I know a lot of people, a lot of people go with all the voyances, right? I like to try to not label it, because I think a lot of times when you label it, you restrict the opportunity for whatever spirit that wants to talk to you. So I'll get audio, I'll get where I can see, and sometimes it's seeing a picture in your head. Sometimes it's just a knowing, and those are all declared, right? So you can label it, but again, don't restrict yourself. And so yeah, it depends. It just depends who I'm talking with.
When you go to locations that have more of a negative type of presence, what's the worst thing you had to deal with your capabilities?
Well, so I think a lot of people, their misunderstanding is that you're always just this open big beacon of, I accept this energy, it's all going to come in, it's going to slap me in the face. I open myself up to understand what's around me. And usually when you're dealing with something that's negative, it's very oppressive, it's very pushing down on you. And a lot of times it's not always demonic, right? It's rarely demonic.
It's very rare.
But there's a lot of angry people out there. There really is. So you're dealing with an angry entity more than likely.
Patrick has a question.
So obviously someone like yourself that truly does have a gift, how do you deal with the negativity sometimes that people have towards mediumship and psychic abilities? Because there is a lot of stuff out there that is obviously not as authentic and as genuine as you, quite a bit actually, unfortunately. How do you deal with kind of separating yourself from someone who truly has a gift from just the people doing it to
make money? Yeah.
I struggle with the fakers because you can see right through them, right? When you're a psychic and you're also a medium, it's easy to see that. And you're right. There's a lot of people who just claim they are. I think facts, right? So when I give a reading, it's not about being very just bland and just stepping around different subjects and not giving direct facts. I think you actually own and understand your abilities by giving people facts and being more spot on what's going on in their life. And I think in the paranormal field, I think that you see it when you look at the videos. When I feel something, I said, there's a woman, we went to a location, I said, I feel like there's a woman here, and I feel like she, these guys play cards, and she comes and greets them and whatever, that's the Washer Club. Yeah. And all of a sudden we pick up a woman's voice in that room, almost right after I say that. And I'm like, this is just, again, I forget what she said, but it was a clear voice and it was a response. I think that you have to give facts, and that's the only way you can prove that you're real.
Good point. Janine has a question. Actually, I'm going to have you come up and state your question into the microphone, because then we can hear your question.
Okay.
And I'll have everybody do that as well.
Okay. Shawn, being around a group of people, how do you shut off your abilities from picking up everybody's emotions and picking up, like when you're in a public place, shut it off at will? Can you do that, or do you have to pretty much like ground yourself to not take it all in?
So a lot of times I deal with a lot of, I live in the mountains. So it's, I find myself a lot of times, because it is so easy to pick up on a lot of negativity. And again, the collective is very negative. So I find myself, if you go to, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Medium, I have a YouTube channel. I do a lot of hikes and I ground that energy. And again, I teach people, we're not batteries. We don't put the energy in us. We run the energy through us. So I find myself trying to turn it off, and it's hard. It's really hard, because a lot of us are intuitive. If you're doing paranormal, you're more than likely already receptive. Everybody is, but you're searching for spirit, and you're searching to understand spirit, and you're all picking that up. And again, I think being aware of your feelings is very important. If you're feeling a certain way, because you're also feeding that to the collective, you try to intentionally have positive thoughts. And it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And again, it's a practice. I tell everybody, even my walks on Instagram and on my YouTube, it's a practice. Life's a practice. We're going to make mistakes. You learn from those mistakes. So I turn off only to a certain degree.
For sure. Yeah. All right. So we're going to have to wrap here, unfortunately. So if you have a question for Shawn, feel free to ask him after this.
Wait, last question.
Cody has
How
one.
does somebody get a reading?
Okay,
Yeah.
so you
So plug your stuff.
so guys, obviously I'm with the New Reality. If you go to the newreality11.com, I have a calendar there. You can schedule a reading with me. I do energy work healing. That's my shaman. I do energy work. I also do readings. They're psychic as well as mediumship. So
So go book a reading. Go do that immediately. And go subscribe to Shawn's YouTube channel, Matt Medium.
Yeah, if you guys see, a lot of the clients are here, so they understand.
Yes, they know. They've been in the know. Thank you, Shawn.
Awesome.
Thank you for your time.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
I think Cody's like, hi. All right, I'm gonna scoot. Should we scoot the thing back?
Yeah.
Do you think so?
Hold on.
So I'm thinking we scoot the thing back and re-angle